Okay, let's jump right in. If you have ADHD, you already know the modern office can feel like, well, like an obstacle course designed specifically to trip up your brain. But what if you could actually reshape that environment to fit how you work best? Today, we're going to break down exactly how to get the support you need using the powerful tools that you are legally entitled to.
So, let me ask you this. Does your office environment feel like it's actively sabotaging your focus? I bet a lot of you are nodding your heads right now. You know you're capable, but the constant noise, the interruptions, it can feel like you're fighting an uphill battle every single day. The thing is, it's not just you, it's the environment.
And this right here, this slide just nails the core problem. On one side, you've got the chaos of the typical open office. It's unpredictable, it's super high stimulation. And on the other side, that's what a brain with ADHD really needs to thrive, a structured, low-distraction space. That huge gap between those two worlds, that's where the daily struggle lives.
So, let's get into the nitty-gritty of why this is such a massive challenge. Because it's not just a feeling, you know? There are actual, real, brain-based reasons why the typical office setup can feel so incredibly draining.
First up, let's talk about sensory input. I mean, open floor plans, they're designed for collaboration, right? But for a brain that struggles to filter things out, it's just a constant barrage of information. Every little conversation, every phone notification, every person walking by, it just shatters your attention into a million pieces. This isn't about a lack of willpower. It's a neurological mismatch.
And then there are the interruptions. Ugh. That quick question from a coworker might seem totally harmless, but for someone with ADHD, the cost is huge. Think of it like this. For a neurotypical brain, it's like a little speed bump. But for an ADHD brain, it can be a complete detour, and it takes so much mental energy to try and find your way back to what you were originally doing.
And you know what? The challenge often starts before you even walk through the office door. I want you to think of your commute as a tax on your brain's executive function. All that planning, navigating traffic, the sensory stress, it drains your mental battery before the workday has even begun. You're starting the day already at a disadvantage. But here is the most important part of this whole thing. You don't just have to put up with it. You have rights. So let's talk about the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, and how it can seriously empower you to create a work environment that actually works.
This is the foundation for everything. It is so important to get this in your head. ADHD is not a personal failing. It's not a lack of discipline. It is a legally recognized disability. And that simple fact completely reframes the conversation. You're not asking for a favor. You are exercising a protected right.
Now, let's zoom in on a key legal phrase from the ADA, substantially limits. This is so important. It doesn't mean you are unable to do something. It just means your ADHD makes a major life activity significantly harder for you than it is for most people. That's the bar, that's the standard.
So what are these major life activities the law is talking about? Just look at this list. Concentrating, thinking, organizing tasks, managing time. Does any of that sound familiar? These are the core challenges of ADHD, and guess what? They are legally recognized. This is where your personal experience directly plugs into the power of the law.
And hey, let's bust a really common myth right now. A lot of people think you absolutely need a diagnosis from when you were a kid for it to count. That is just not true. An evaluation from a licensed professional as an adult is completely and totally valid for getting the documentation you need. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the practical stuff, the how. How do you actually go about requesting these accommodations? Well, it all starts with putting together a clear, effective letter.
And please, don't let this feel overwhelming. It's really not. You can break the whole process down into 3 simple, manageable steps, just like you see here. You're not just, stating a diagnosis. You're building a logical case. First, you detail your challenges. Second, you get it backed up by a professional. And third, you propose a solution.
So this is probably the most crucial piece of advice. Your letter has to focus on your functional limitations. Don't just write, "I have ADHD." You have to explain how it affects your ability to do your job in that specific environment. For example, say something like, "The constant noise in our open office substantially limits my ability to concentrate on detailed reports." See the difference?
I want you to think of this slide as your ultimate checklist for a letter that gets taken seriously.
You need the official diagnosis from a licensed pro, and you need their credentials in there. You've got to draw that super clear line connecting your symptoms to your actual job duties. And crucially, you have to suggest a specific fix.
Which brings us to our final section. What do those fixes, those solutions, actually look like? What kind of accommodations can you ask for that will genuinely make a difference in your day-to-day?
Now, a lot of people see remote work as the ultimate solution, right? Because it gives you the most control over your environment. And it is a powerful option for sure, but it is not the only option. The goal here is to think creatively and find what's going to work best for you and your job. So here's kind of a menu of common and really effective accommodations. It could be something as simple as getting a desk in a quiet corner or just getting official permission to wear noise-canceling headphones, or it could be more structural, like a flexible schedule that lets you work when your brain is at its sharpest, or maybe a hybrid schedule.
Now listen up, because this is an incredibly empowering fact. You are not limited to asking for just one thing. Think of it like you're building your own custom support system. You can ask for a combination of things. Maybe you need a private workspace and you need instructions in writing to do your best work. That is a totally valid request.
So if you take only one thing away today, please let it be this. Your challenges are real, your needs are valid, and you have a legitimate legal basis for requesting support. This is not about asking for special treatment. It's about creating the conditions you need to do the great work you're capable of.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. If you could wave a magic wand, remove all the friction, and design a workspace that was perfectly catered to your brain, what would that actually look like? Because figuring that out, that's the very first step to making it your reality.